Here we are again with the Country Music News International interview show, kind of. My name's Nigel Sharpe, and in the other screen, or on the other screen, Houston Bernard. Originally from Oklahoma, though, I think.
Yes, I was born in Oklahoma, and I grew up in Alaska and Massachusetts. My mom was from Massachusetts. My dad from Oklahoma. He was touring, met her, and eventually, we split up, and we came back to Massachusetts when I was, about high school age.
Your father was quite busy in on the country scene, wasn't he? What was the
Yep.
name of the band that he played? The Rebel something?
Well, it was my uncle and my brother. I'm sorry, my uncle and my dad. They were known as the Rebel Brothers,
Right.
like in the '70s. Before that became very unpopular to use. It's politically incorrect these days.
Okay.
But he was just playing country music, and they backed up like a lot of artists like Dave Dudley, Tanya Tucker. Actually, Reba McEntire did one of my uncle's songs called "Money, Mississippi," and they played for many years.
I also read about this Wild West outlaw character, George Bitter Creek Newcomb.
Yep, that was my great great grandfather, and
Okay.
he ran with the Dalton and the Doolin Gang, and
Yeah.
he was known in a group called the Wild Bunch. And if you're familiar with the Eagles album
Yeah, exactly.
Desperado, they did that whole theme album about the Wild Bunch, which is my great
Yeah.
grandfather. And there was a song called Bitter Creek. Track
Yeah.
10 is called Bitter Creek, about my great grandfather, which I didn't know until a few years ago when this Canadian country artist, when I had posted about my grandfather, and he's like, "Yeah, the Eagles did that
That
album
song.
about them." Oh, what? So I looked into it and found all that. I was like, "This is crazy. I had no idea."
Yeah. Talking about great songs, let's get to you. Now, I've been listening to Ever Gonna Be, and there is something about that song. Well, actually, there's a number of things about that song. I've got to say, the very first kind of couple of words took me right back to my youth. Teenage Wasteland. What is I mean, are you aware of the kind
Oh,
of
of course.
link?
The Who?
The Who, yes.
Yes, yes, and even so, this was a song that a writer that I know, Max Gabriel, who I write music with. Whenever I write with other writers, I always ask what are the songs they have that I might want to record, and I asked Max about this, and he sent that song, and my manager and I, we just knew. It was like, oh, this is the one. Like, this was a great great song. And what's really cool about the song is they use a similar riff as Teenage
Yeah.
Wasteland.
The
Dun, dun, dun,
dun, dun. Yeah, it's the little chord sequence which comes around a couple of times, which
Yep.
kind of follows that Barbara O'Reilly song.
Yes.
So that was a kind of nice tipping of the hat to the Who. I do remember
Yes.
you saying something about your musical influences were really quite broad, quite eclectic, and they
Oh yeah.
included Bruce Springsteen, John
Right.
Mellencamp, and so on.
Yeah.
And it's kind of in that sort of vein, I would say. But the other thing I really felt about Ever Gonna Be was that it sounds slightly different to some of the other stuff that I've listened to from before. Somehow or other, I don't know if it's a kind of production thing or whether it was deliberate or whether it was just purely by chance, but somehow the vocal in particular seems to stand out more. It's a little bit more kind of in your face, I would say. There's more clarity to it than perhaps compared to some of the other songs. I did a kind of comparison with People We Are, which was the main song I was listening to back in the beginning of 2021, and Ever Gonna Be. And I mean, there's not a great deal of difference, but there's some subtle differences. I mean, there's still like some really nice powerful guitar parts in there, but I really like the way the vocal kind of sat in the mix. I mean, were you aware of that, or was it anything deliberate?
Well, the only thing deliberate is that I just try to be true as possible to the song. I try to improve my vocal approach, and I just try to be as honest as possible with the song and try to communicate that to the listener. So I really, when I'm recording the song, I'm really in it. I'm really in it, and I'm thinking about all these things. And this particular song is about transitions. Let's say the first verse is really about the end of high school, and that summer right before you're off to either college, or for me it was the military. I went right into the army, um, and it's just really transitions. And what was really beautiful about I even just had a realization this past week about this song. One of the verses is about asking someone to marry them, and it was really cool because this young guy came up. His name was Bo. I still remember, it was Bo and Caroline. Bo came up with one of his friends, this other girl, and they said, "Yeah, Bo's gonna ask Caroline to marry him. Can you play a song? Can you do something?" I was like, "Well, what song does she like? Who does she? Oh, I don't know. You pick, you pick." And it just like I'm like, "Oh, of course, Ever Gonna Be is a transition song." And I played it instead of the band, which we played it again with the band later. But I played it during our break, and he wanted me to announce, Caroline, please come to the front, whatever.
Okay.
He asked her, she said yes. While this song was playing, of course, we had a video because it was so beautiful. These young people are about to move on to this new place in their life, and there's ready as they're ever going to be, you know. And this transition was such a beautiful thing. And then I thought, oh my gosh, this song is kind of a song for getting married and asking someone to marry them. That verse in particular about, and I got down on one knee. I took a lot of nerves and I got down on one knee, and she said, "Yeah, I guess we're ready as we're ever gonna be." It was just such a beautiful thing. I was like, this song is going to be really powerful for some people, and I think also for these particular people, they're always going to remember this song.
Oh,
That's what's
yeah.
really beautiful about music. It captures moments in people's lives, and I'm so proud of this song because that's a big step for people, to decide to be with each other for their lives. And hopefully,
Are you still going down to Nashville to do the recordings?
I am. I
Yeah.
am. And actually, I've been spending more time in Texas. I feel that Texas music and the Texas music scene is a little bit, actually quite a bit more receptive than Nashville at this time. Because Nashville is really leaning towards the pop thing,
Yeah.
a lot of electronic elements to the music, and that's not really what I'm doing. I consider what I'm doing like heartland country, a lot of organic sounds and that sort of thing. So I released a song called "American Dream." It charted at 42 out of 700 or whatever songs in Texas. That's really good, especially for my first time out. And we released "Ever Gonna Be" to Texas radio. It's already double the amount of stations, or I'm sorry, double the amount of plays
Right.
that it's getting in 2 weeks. So I'm hoping that it'll keep taking off. But I'm doing radio tours, going around, and I'm just doing acoustic shows, trying to get my feet wet and try to build a name for myself so I can start touring regularly there with the full band, which would that's the next goal. It's going to take some time, I think, but
Yeah.
releasing the songs there and hopefully getting some charting that'll introduce me to a lot of new people and hopefully open up some more opportunities for me.
Yeah. So what's coming up next for you?
Well, we're just really going to be pushing "Ever Gonna Be," the new single, for probably the life of the single, as they say. Probably it's going to be about 5-ish months, and then I've got a bunch of shows coming up. I'm getting out there a bit more. Like I said, I'm going to Texas. I've been going to San Diego. There's some venues out there. I was in Las Vegas at a venue called Stoney's.
Do you have actually kind of like a tour planned with a band in your local area this summer, or?
I have a ton of dates. We're playing at least 3 or 4 dates a week. A lot of private parties too. That's where I find my funding. But yeah, so I do have a lot of dates in New England, but a ton of private events as well. I got festivals and fairs and some club dates, stuff like that. But yeah, it's pretty busy. Usually April to October, then it starts slowing down a little bit. But yeah, pretty busy. So it's basically a tour.
Do you actually get to rehearse much with your band? In
We don't
your area?
rehearse. No, we don't rehearse. We stopped rehearsing years ago.
Yeah, that
It's like
sounds familiar.
he's like, well, here are the songs. Play them like the recording. How hard can that be? And then we
Yeah,
kind of figured out and gel. And the more we would play it, the more shows we do. They're like, okay, you know. And then a lot of the musicians need charts, so we have some charts sometimes, so they can learn the music a little bit quicker. But just reading from charts is not enough. You have to know the song, you know. And a true professional might learn some charts, but will know the songs. I don't mind if like sub musicians that are playing one or two gigs for 30 some songs, where they use charts. But most of the musicians I play with, even if they're doing the first time gig, they do it from memory. They
yeah.
learn all the songs from memory and they play. So I've just been blessed to be able to have that kind of musicianship to pull from the shows.
I normally have charts with me if I need them, but it's like you say, it's all about preparation. You've got a job to do.
You've got a job to do.
You're going to get paid for this. Well, you hope you're going to get paid for this.
Yeah.
It's your responsibility. And there's a lot of
Yeah.
musicians who just don't seem to get that.
Yes, and they're not professionals because if you
Yeah,
don't get that, you're not a professional. And for
correct.
me, coming up, I'm still learning. You got to be learning all the time. You got to be
Yeah,
improving if you really truly care about your craft and what you're doing. And for me, learning songs is really, I'm compared to these professionals, I'm really slow. But I'm a lot faster than I was, 8 years ago. But yeah, if this is your job, you're getting paid for this. You got to take it seriously, or people won't take you seriously.
there you go. Well, I'm not getting paid for this, but I do take it seriously. Um,
Okay, good enough.
um, I do it because I love talking to people like you,
Good.
and
Keep doing it.
which seems like a good point to sort of bring this to a close. Have a quick look at my clock, if I could read it. Oh, over time as usual. Never mind. I'll cut it down a bit. One of the cats has just arrived on my desk, so she's going to want something or other. She
Yeah.
wants to. I think she wants to play. Okay, Houston. Thanks so much again for taking the time to talk with us. We
Well,
really
thanks,
do
Nigel.
appreciate it.
Appreciate you.
I do hope you can get back over to Europe sometime or other.
I'd love to. I actually signed with a European booking agency, and they've been
Yeah,
pitching me to some festivals, but they're a fairly new agency, and maybe they don't have the same footing as some other agencies. But I'm trying. We're definitely trying.
yeah. I mean, this summer, things have kind of started up again.
Okay.
I've had a few gigs. I seem to be doing a beer garden tour this summer. Every
There you
gig's a
go.
beer garden. But the weather is like really very sunny, extremely hot at the moment over here. So
Oh,
it's great weather for going to the beer garden. There you
awesome.
go. But yeah, I mean the gigs have started up again. There are festivals, and I would have thought also the UK would be a good market for you.
Yes, I mean, I'd love to get over there. It's, it's like Texas too, right? I'm trying to break into a scene, and without people reaching out saying, we like what you're doing, let's showcase you at this festival. Or if people aren't reaching out to support what we're doing, like yourself, um, it's gonna take some time. So I'm
Yeah,
working at it.
good.
If you know anyone, let me know.
I will. Uh, cool. Okay. So, as I said, wish you all the very best, and I will say, get the old hand coming over, wave you goodbye, and say thanks again.
Thank you, Nigel. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.